It may be hard to believe, but this road actually exists. Some roads exist not to take you somewhere, but to test if you can make it there at all. These aren't just tough to drive. They're battles against gravity, weather, and the edge of reason. With razor-thin ledges, collapsing cliffs, and zero forgiveness, one wrong move could be your last. In Nepal, roads are known to be narrow, with twists and turns that can make traveling extremely difficult, even in the best of weather circumstances. But at any moment, the road can take a turn for the worse. Even if there wasn't a waterfall washing out this road, I might think twice before driving down this path. If this kind of content excites you, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications as we dive into this type of content daily. When a road passes through avalanches, landslides, sky-high mountain passes, and earthquake-prone zones, all in one trip, you know you're not dealing with your average highway. Welcome to the Sichuan-Tibet Highway, a route so wild and unpredictable that locals call it both breathtaking and bone-rattling. This road stretches for roughly 2,140 kilometers, connecting the city of Chengdu in Sichuan province to Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. Built in the 1950s and completed in 1954, it cuts through the eastern Himalayas and some of the most geologically active regions in the world. And it's not just long, it's steep, narrow, and packed with more natural hazards than most people see in a lifetime. The Sichuan-Tibet Highway climbs through multiple mountain passes that soar well above 4,000 meters. The highest point on the route is the Dongda Mountain Pass, which reaches nearly 5,000 meters, over 16,000 feet. At that altitude, oxygen levels drop, and altitude sickness becomes a real concern. Landslides are one of the road's biggest threats. The region is constantly shifting due to tectonic activity, and heavy rains trigger frequent collapses. Entire sections of the highway can disappear without warning, blocking traffic for hours or days. Rockfalls are also common, especially in narrow gorges where cliffs tower above the road. And then there's the weather. Temperatures can swing dramatically within a single day. Snow, ice, fog, and sudden storms are all regular parts of the experience. In winter, some stretches become nearly impassable. Even in summer, thick clouds and flash floods can cause chaos. Drivers often navigate in low visibility, dealing with muddy surfaces and unstable ground under their tires. But despite all these dangers, the highway is essential. It is one of the main overland routes into Tibet and is used by thousands of people each year, locals, truckers, and pilgrims alike. It is also culturally and historically significant, passing monasteries, remote villages, and breathtaking landscapes that few people outside the region ever get to see. For Tibetan Buddhists, it's more than a highway. It's a sacred path. Construction was no small feat. The original highway was built mostly by hand, using basic equipment in extremely harsh conditions. More than 3,000 workers reportedly lost their lives during its construction due to rock slides, accidents, and altitude-related issues. Since then, the road has been expanded, reinforced, and maintained, but the danger never truly goes away. Travelers on this route are advised to carry extra food, fuel, and first aid. Breakdowns are common, and roadside help is minimal. Despite modern upgrades, this road remains a test of patience, skill, and resilience. Whether you're chasing adventure or delivering supplies, one thing is certain: no one crosses it without a story to tell. Twice a day, this road disappears under the ocean. Not from storms, not from erosion, but by design. Welcome to Passage du Gua, a road that can leave you stranded in the middle of the sea if your timing is even a little off. Located on the Atlantic coast of France, Passage du Gua connects the mainland at Beauvoir-sur-Mer to the island of Noirmoutier. It stretches for about 4.3 kilometers across the Bay of Bourgneuf. At low tide, it looks like a simple coastal causeway, flat, narrow, and drivable. But when high tide rolls in, the entire road vanishes beneath more than 4 meters of water. The tide here is fast and unforgiving. Drivers have just a short window, usually less than 3 hours, before the road is completely submerged. Signs at both ends display tide times and warnings, but every year people still miscalculate or push their luck. When the water comes in, it comes quickly, and it has caught many off guard. Cars have been swept away, and rescue teams regularly help stranded travelers who underestimated the speed of the incoming tide. What makes this road especially risky is that once you're on it, there's no place to turn around or pull over. The surface is slippery and uneven, often covered in seaweed and sand. It's only wide enough for one lane of traffic in most parts, and during busy seasons, it gets crowded with tourists, cyclists, and even people walking across on foot. To help with emergencies, tall rescue towers are placed along the route. If you get caught mid-crossing as the tide rises, your only option may be to abandon your car and climb one of these towers to wait out the water. It might sound extreme, but it's happened many times. The French government has kept the towers in place for decades because they keep getting used. Despite the danger, Passage du Gois has been a vital route for centuries. It was first documented in the 16th century and was used long before modern bridges or ferries were introduced. Even now, it remains a functioning roadway and is the site of an annual foot race, where runners must beat the rising tide or risk finishing underwater. The road's natural cycle of appearing and disappearing makes it one of the most unique driving experiences on Earth. Locals know the schedule well and treat the crossing with caution, but visitors often underestimate just how fast the ocean can take over. This is one of the only roads in the world where the biggest threat isn't the road itself, it's the clock. Some roads test your driving skills. This one tests everything: your patience, your endurance, and your ability to survive complete isolation. The James Dalton Highway in Alaska is a 544-kilometer stretch of mostly gravel that cuts through one of the coldest and most unforgiving regions on Earth. Built in the 1970s to support the construction of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, the Dalton Highway runs from Livengood, just north of Fairbanks, to Dead Horse near the Arctic Ocean. Its main purpose? To carry supplies and fuel to the oil fields in Prudhoe Bay. But calling it a highway might give the wrong impression. This is no ordinary road. More than 75% of it is unpaved, and it's constantly battered by freezing temperatures, fierce winds, and blowing snow. One of the biggest challenges here is remoteness. There are only 3 small settlements along the entire route: Coldfoot, Wiseman, and Dead Horse, and there are no major services between them. That means no gas stations, no repair shops, and almost no cell signal. If your vehicle breaks down, you're on your own until help can reach you, which could take hours or even longer, especially during winter. Speaking of winter, temperatures along the Dalton can drop below minus 30 degrees Celsius, and snowstorms can strike with little warning. The wind chill is brutal, and visibility often drops to near zero. Ice forms quickly on the road, and black ice is common, even when conditions appear clear. Because of these hazards, most of the traffic on the Dalton consists of massive 18-wheelers, driven by professionals who know the road well. They drive cautiously, not just for their safety, but because one mistake can block the road for hours or worse. Another factor to watch out for is flying rocks. Since much of the highway is gravel, trucks regularly kick up stones that can shatter windshields in seconds. It's recommended that drivers carry spare tires, extra fuel, and enough food and water for emergencies. There's even a stretch known as the roller coaster, where steep hills and blind curves test even the most experienced drivers. The road crosses the Yukon River and then continues north past the Arctic Circle. Eventually, it climbs through the rugged Brooks Range via Atigun Pass, the highest year-round pass in Alaska, at about 1,474 meters. This section is especially dangerous in winter, with avalanches and strong crosswinds being regular threats. Despite all this, the Dalton has become something of a legend. Adventurers drive it for the challenge, the scenery, and the bragging rights. But locals and truckers know better. It's a road that demands respect. The James Dalton Highway isn't about getting somewhere fast. It's about whether you can make it there at all. Not many roads in the world come with the warning, if you're afraid of heights, don't look out the window. But then again, not many roads are like the Guolang Tunnel road in China, a road so dramatic, it looks like something out of an action movie, but it's entirely real and carved by hand through the side of a vertical mountain. Located in China's Henan province, The Guolang Tunnel is tucked inside the Taihang Mountains and connects the remote village of Guolang to the outside world. Before this road existed, villagers had to climb steep, narrow stone steps along the mountain just to get in or out. No vehicles, no deliveries, just a daily uphill battle. So in the early 1970s, 13 villagers decided to do something about it. With nothing more than hammers, chisels, and their bare hands, they began digging through solid rock. It took several years of labor, and in 1977, they completed a tunnel wide enough to drive through. Several workers reportedly died during construction, but the village kept going, determined to finish what they started. The tunnel is about 1.2 kilometers long, 5 meters high, and 4 meters wide. But those numbers don't fully explain the experience. The road clings to the edge of the cliff, with steep drop-offs and no protective barriers in many sections. Throughout the tunnel, there are windows, cut-out openings that overlook a jaw-dropping drop of hundreds of meters. These openings provide light and ventilation, but also give drivers a front-row view of the canyon below. Because the tunnel twists and turns unpredictably and has no lighting system, drivers rely completely on daylight and nerves of steel. In rainy or foggy weather, the visibility drops dangerously low, and the rock floor can become slippery. Adding to the risk, there's just enough space for one car to pass at a time. If two vehicles meet, one must reverse until they find a wider spot. There are no signs, no signals, and no second chances. Today, the Guolang Tunnel is both a vital connection and a tourist attraction. Adventurous travelers come to drive it, photograph it, and experience the thrill of hugging a cliffside at the edge of the world. But the road isn't just about thrill. It's a story of determination, survival, and grit. The villagers built it because they had no choice, and now it stands as a symbol of what humans can accomplish against all odds. When a road is shut down for nearly half the year, not because of construction, but because it's buried under snow, you know you're dealing with something extreme. Welcome to Zojila Pass, one of India's most treacherous mountain roads. Zojila is located in the northern Himalayas, between the Kashmir Valley and the cold, rugged terrain of Ladakh. This high-altitude mountain pass sits at an elevation of approximately 3,528 meters above sea level. That's over 11,500 feet, and at that height, the weather makes the rules. The road stretches for about 25 kilometers and forms part of National Highway 1. Its purpose is critical. It connects Srinagar to Leh, acting as a lifeline for the remote region of Ladakh. But this connection comes at a cost. The road is narrow, unpaved in many sections, and dangerously close to vertical drops with no guardrails. Slippery mud, loose rocks, and fast-changing weather make every turn a gamble. One moment, the skies are clear. Minutes later, visibility can vanish in thick fog or blizzard conditions. During winter, Zojila is blanketed in heavy snow, often piled as high as 10 meters. Snow-clearing operations here are among the toughest in the world, involving massive machinery and a race against time to reopen the pass each year. Even in the summer months, landslides and sudden rainstorms can make the road impassable for hours, or even days. Traffic on this road includes everything from military convoys and fuel trucks to local buses and supply vans. Everyone using it knows the risks, but for many in the region, there is no alternative. The Indian military maintains a strong presence along the route, not just for security reasons, but also to assist with emergencies caused by harsh terrain and weather. What makes Zojila particularly scary isn't just the altitude or the danger, it's how unpredictable everything is. Roads are frequently washed out, corners are blind and steep, and there's always the possibility of falling rocks. Vehicles move slowly and cautiously, often in a single file. If something breaks down, there's little room to pull over safely. In many places, one mistake means tumbling into the gorge below. Despite all this, the road is a vital artery. It's used by thousands of people, especially during the short travel window when conditions allow passage. Improvements have been proposed for years, but nature here is relentless. A tunnel is currently under construction to provide a safer alternative, but for now, drivers must still face the full intensity of Zojila. You know a road is dangerous when your rental car agreement says, "Not covered if you go here." Skipper's Canyon Road in New Zealand is one of the few places in the world where standard insurance won't even try to protect you. And honestly, That warning makes sense once you see the road. Located near Queenstown on the South Island, Skipper's Canyon Road was carved into the cliffs above the Shot-Over River during the gold rush of the 1880s. Over 140 years later, not much has changed. It's still an unpaved, winding dirt road, just wide enough for one vehicle in most places, and absolutely no guardrails protecting you from the drop-offs that stretch hundreds of meters down. The road runs for about 22 kilometers and offers incredible views of the canyon, mountains, and river. But don't let the beauty fool you. This road is unforgiving. Drivers have to hug the cliff wall as they navigate hairpin turns, loose gravel, rock slides, and blind corners. If two vehicles meet, one must reverse until they find a section just wide enough to pass. And that can mean backing up along a crumbling ledge with nothing but air and rock below. The construction of this road is part of what makes it so dangerous. It was literally blasted out of solid rock using manual tools and explosives back in the 19th century. Modern engineering never touched it. There are no reinforcements, no reflective signs, no crash barriers, just dirt, rock, and gravity. Some ledges are as narrow as 4 meters, and parts of the road run directly above steep, vertical drops into the canyon. Because of its extreme conditions, Skipper's Canyon Road is one of the only roads in New Zealand where rental car companies commonly ban access. If you take a rented vehicle here and something goes wrong, you're completely on your own financially. That's not a scare tactic. It's a policy based on years of risk and accidents. Despite all this, the road is still used. Local tour companies operate guided trips for visitors who want to explore the historic gold mining region and soak in the dramatic landscape. But these drivers are trained, experienced, and know the road intimately. For casual drivers or first-time visitors, attempting it solo is strongly discouraged. In terms of danger, Skipper's Canyon Road combines every factor you don't want. No safety features, no room to maneuver, unpredictable weather, and real consequences for mistakes. It doesn't matter how skilled you are, this road demands total focus, constant caution, and respect. A highway built through one of the most hostile mountain ranges on Earth by two countries working in extreme weather at altitudes where most people struggle to breathe, that's not just engineering. That's the Kakorum Highway, often called the eighth wonder of the world. Also known as the KKH, this highway stretches for approximately 1,300 kilometers. It connects the Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan to China's Xinjiang province, passing through the towering Karakoram mountain range. This road reaches altitudes of up to 4,700 meters, making it one of the highest paved international roads in the world. Construction began in the year 1959 and took nearly 2 decades to complete. Over 1,500 workers from Pakistan and more than 500 from China reportedly died during construction, most of them due to landslides, altitude sickness, and accidents in extreme conditions. That statistic alone speaks volumes about the sheer danger this road presents, not just to drivers, but to those who built it. Driving the Kakorum Highway is like navigating a cliffside tightrope. The road is often narrow, winding, and exposed to constant threats like rock falls, landslides, flash floods, and snowstorms. In many stretches, there are no guardrails, and the drop-offs are steep and unforgiving. One miscalculation can lead to a vehicle plunging into a deep gorge or crashing into jagged rocks. Despite these risks, the highway is a critical trade and travel route. Trucks, buses, and jeeps crawl along its curves daily, delivering goods and transporting passengers between some of the world's most remote regions. Travelers on the highway also pass by glaciers, roaring rivers, and breathtaking peaks, including Nanga Parbat, the 9th highest mountain in the world. But the beauty here is deceptive. Even in summer, a sudden storm can block the road for days, leaving vehicles stranded with little access to food or medical help. One of the most notorious sections of the highway lies between Gilgit and Skardu, where the road clings to sheer cliffs, with the Indus River roaring below. Locals often describe this part as a road with no room for mistakes. Drivers have to be skilled, alert, and incredibly patient, especially when overtaking or navigating narrow blind turns. Over the years, there have been efforts to modernize and widen sections of the Kakorum Highway, especially under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. But even with new pavement and construction updates, the raw danger remains. The terrain, the altitude, and the constant threat of natural disasters keep this road as one of the toughest in the world. Some roads are dangerous because of traffic, others are dangerous because of speed, but this one? It's dangerous just for existing. Bolivia's North Yungas Road, better known as Death Road, is widely considered the most dangerous road in the world, a place where one wrong move means a drop of over 2,000 feet straight down. No barriers, no second chances. Just a narrow dirt path hugging the edge of a rainforest-covered mountain. This terrifying road stretches for about 64 kilometers, connecting the capital city of La Paz to the smaller town of Coroico. It begins high in the Andes at La Cumbre Pass, which sits at roughly 4,650 meters above sea level, and descends all the way to 1,200 meters in the Yungas region. That's a vertical drop of more than 3,400 meters, on a road barely wide enough for one car. Built in the 1930s by Paraguayan prisoners during the Chaco War, the road was meant to provide a vital trade link between Bolivia's capital and the Amazon basin. What it became, however, was the deadliest road ever built. The surface is mostly gravel and dirt, and in some stretches, it narrows to just 3 meters wide. On one side, a vertical cliff. On the other, a deadly drop with no guardrails and almost no forgiveness. To make matters worse, the area is known for heavy rain, thick fog, and sudden landslides. When you're driving through clouds, struggling to see 5 feet ahead, the edge of the road can disappear before you even know it. Before a safer bypass road was completed in 2006, this route claimed an estimated 200 to 300 lives every single year. In one of the worst accidents on record, a bus went over the edge in 1983, killing more than 100 passengers. Today, the road is mostly used by mountain bikers. Around 25,000 adventure seekers ride down it each year. And while safety precautions have improved, the risk is still real. Since 1998, at least 18 cyclists have died attempting the descent. That's why even now, vehicles that do use the road follow a unique rule. They drive on the left-hand side. This gives the driver a better view of the outer edge, because every centimeter counts. No safety rails, no pavement, no mercy. That's what you get with the D915 road in Turkey, home to one of the most dangerous sets of switchbacks ever built, known as the Dalton turns. This road doesn't just test your driving skills, it tests your survival instincts. Located in the northeast of Turkey, the D915 stretches over 105 kilometers, linking the town of on the Black Sea coast to Bayburt in the mountainous interior. But it's the 29 sharp hairpin bends near the village of Darabashu that turn this road from challenging to outright terrifying. These turns are carved directly into the cliffs of the Soanla Mountains, with no guardrails to keep you from falling hundreds of meters into the valley below. The elevation rises fast, reaching over 2,300 meters above sea level. At that height, fog is common, visibility is low, and weather conditions can shift in seconds. Rain can turn the dirt surface into mud, snow and ice can arrive unexpectedly, and since there's barely enough room for one vehicle at a time, when two cars meet, one often has to reverse until there's a spot wide enough to pass, sometimes right on the edge of a cliff. This road was originally built by Russian soldiers in 1916 during World War I and has barely changed since. There's no concrete, no asphalt, and no real infrastructure. Most of the route remains gravel and dirt, which means that even small errors, like oversteering on a bend, can be fatal. Local drivers are cautious, but even they admit that it's a place where experience and luck often go hand in hand. What really sets the Darabashu turns apart is how suddenly the danger escalates. One minute you're driving through quiet forests and scenic slopes, the next you're clinging to a single-lane mountain shelf with no room for error. And despite the extreme risk, this road is still used by residents, transporters, and even the occasional tourist hoping to capture a once-in-a-lifetime view. But many who attempt it come back saying the views are best enjoyed from behind a camera, not a steering wheel. To put it into perspective, several international travel and automotive sites, like Dangerous Roads and Top Gear, have ranked D915 higher than Bolivia's Death Road when it comes to sheer technical difficulty and unpredictability. Unlike Bolivia's road, which is mostly used by cyclists today, D915 is still active for vehicles, despite having absolutely no modern safety features. In short, the D915 isn't just one of the most dangerous roads in Turkey, it's one of the most dangerous ever built, anywhere in the world. Every twist, every climb, and every narrow ridge reminds you that nature doesn't care about comfort, and that some roads are meant to be feared, not driven. Most roads take you across hills or over rivers. This one takes you deep into one of the deepest canyons on Earth. The Kadawasi Canyon Road in Peru isn't just remote, it's extreme, winding through sharp cliffs and sheer drops with barely enough space for a single vehicle to squeeze through. Located in the southern Andes, Kadawasi Canyon is deeper than the Grand Canyon. It stretches for over 100 kilometers and plunges to a depth of approximately 3,535 meters. That's more than 11,600 feet from rim to river. The road that snakes through this canyon has to follow brutal terrain, hugging rock walls and crossing narrow ledges with no room for error. The drive from the city of Arequipa to the town of Kadawasi takes around 12 hours, even though the distance is only about 350 kilometers. That's because the road isn't paved for most of the journey. It's a rough dirt track that turns to mud when it rains and is often blocked by rock falls, landslides, or sudden flooding. Many parts of the road sit on the edge of steep drop-offs with no guardrails, signs, or safety barriers. What makes this road even more difficult is the altitude. Large sections rise above 4,000 meters, over 13,000 feet, which means drivers are not only dealing with dangerous terrain, but also thinner air. Altitude sickness is common, especially for those not used to high elevations. On top of that, unpredictable weather can shift within minutes. One moment the sun is shining, the next you're surrounded by fog or driving through a cold mountain downpour. Kadawasi Canyon itself is incredibly remote. There are no large cities nearby and very few emergency services. If a car breaks down or slides off the edge, help might take hours or even days to arrive. Locals who live in the scattered villages along the canyon are used to the conditions, but even they treat the road with respect. Despite all the danger, the road is important. It's the only direct connection between Kadawasi and the rest of the region. People rely on it for supplies, transport, and access to medical care. Buses and small trucks use it regularly, carefully navigating each bend. Tourists also venture here for the stunning views and untouched natural beauty, but usually with experienced drivers behind the wheel. This is not a place for speeding, sightseeing, or distractions. Every stretch demands your full attention. One missed corner, one slip of the tire, and you're looking at a fall that nobody survives. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.